Hey, welcome back. So I'm gonna try to get to this Islam note today. I need to have a name for these episodes that I do where I talk about something that I don't really know, but it's like to try to help me learn it, because if I don't talk about it then I'll just forget it, but I still don't really know it. So I'm just trying to like talk myself into actually knowing it, because I just read the Wikipedia article, but I'm not sure if I even really understood what I read, or but it's interesting. I read it for like 20 minutes when I was at work. Sorry. Gotta find that molehill. What was the interesting thing? Oh, I didn't know. I feel like I've heard this term before, but I had no idea what it meant. So it's a caliphate, or caliphate is the thing, but a person is like a caliph. But do you know what a caliphate is? I didn't know. Well, the leader of the caliphate, I think it's called a caliph. He's kind of like the pope of the Muslim people. But there is no caliphate right now, which is interesting. From the time of Muhammad to 1920, there was a caliphate. Oops, that was bad. And a caliphate is like, it's like the Catholic Church. It's that's what it seems like to me, to oversimplify. There's a leader who is like, he doesn't have to be a direct descendant of Muhammad, but he's imbued with like the authority of, like the religious authority of Muhammad, kind of. He's seen as like the leader, and his interpretations are important to the church, and but it's so interesting that like in 1920, I think this has to do with the Ottoman Empire when it ended, I guess after World War One. They abolished the caliphate, so no more caliphates. So I guess the Muslim church is just kind of going off of previous caliphates, and like that's what they believe, and obviously the Quran and like those interpretations. Something it seems to be important to Islam is like interpretations, because I tried to read, if you're a super fan, which nobody is, I tried to read the Quran like 2 years ago. It's very hard to understand. And then I read on Wikipedia, it's like, most people can't really read the Quran, you need interpretations, and I was reading the Quran and I'm like, it's not like the Old Testament Bible where it's just stories. You can understand stories. The Quran isn't stories, it's like trying to be like profound wisdom, but it's even more dense than like Psalms and Proverbs. It's like, it's really hard to understand. So I guess that's what the caliphates did a little bit, is they kind of interpreted it. I still want to read more about it because I don't know anything. Because apparently the caliphates were like dynasties, and they took over huge parts of Asia and Europe. There was one caliphate that like went into Spain. Like one of the biggest caliphates, and apparently I didn't know this about. Oh, that's not good. I want to learn more about the history of Muhammad because it's interesting. Like he somehow he formed an army of 10,000 people, and he like conquered some lands. I guess in the 600 ADs. It didn't really take a lot to conquer. It was a lot of places were unincorporated or whatever. Like they were just kind of tribes living there. So what Muhammad did was kind of combine them all, and that's what the first caliphate was like after Muhammad died, I think. And they're like, "What are we gonna do? Muhammad's not here. We need someone to tell us what to do." I didn't realize how, like, Muhammad, he was like a military figure, kind of. He conquered a bunch of places. I didn't know that. I thought he was just like a guy who wrote stuff. And then people were like, "Oh, I like the stuff you wrote." But he's kind of like a military, political leader. It's interesting. I'd like to learn more about it. They don't really teach you that in school. The history of Islam. They should. I mean, I must have learned something about it, but like in one of the chapters in world history was about Muhammad or Islam. And one of the paragraphs was about Muhammad. In 10th grade world history. Boop boopity boop 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 boop. Go. Nah. So I guess I had heard this word in regard to ISIS, and maybe why can't I think of the other one? It's probably good. Good. You're forgotten forever for history. The other terrorist people, the Osama bin Laden one. I can't remember it. I haven't thought about it in a while. Follow the clues if you're looking for gold. Boop, 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 boop. I gotta find the molehill. The people who did 9/11, I can't remember their name. That's good. They wanted to start a new caliphate. That's like one of their main goals. It's like we want to be the leaders of the new caliphate and the new Islam or whatever. But I think most Muslim people kind of reject that. Obviously, they're terrorists. They reject it. So even if but they're kind of doing what it seems like Muhammad did, which is like they want to conquer land and get more people, and they want to start their own dynasty, like an Islamic State. I guess that's what ISIS means, right? Islamic State of Syria or something. And that's what ISIS wants to do. They want a new Islamic State, and so they're trying to capture all this land. And so I guess they get enough like political power where they can create their own caliphate, and it doesn't really matter what other people say. They're just like, yeah, we're so powerful, we create a caliphate. But luckily we've been able to kind of stop them so far. And most Muslims don't really want that, so that's good. That reminds me, I gotta talk about Israel and Palestine again this week. I talked about it last week and it was just horrible. I even cut out a part because I'm like, I could tell you what I cut out if you're really curious, but I didn't feel comfortable leaving that up. there a shark in this water? Bear go in the water. Shark in the water. Ooh. What's up with this water? It's pushing me. I get the notes. Boop, boop, be-doop, boop, 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 be-doop, boop, 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 boop. So Oasis is bad. Right, guys? Ooh. Come on. Can you not swim forward? You can just do the... Yes, you can. How do you swim? Oh, there we go. Not much better. But that's interesting. I feel like I've heard that term before, caliphate, but it was in regards to Muslims. Like, they want to start a new caliphate, and that's what it means. So we're learning. I definitely didn't get all of that right, but I know more than I did yesterday about it. And sometimes you just hear people say these buzzwords, and you're like, what are you talking about? Do you even know what you're talking about? Banjo Kazooie. Okay. What? How do I do this? Do I have to... I want to get this though. Boop, boop, be-doop, boop, boop. Can I... What's happening here? I don't know how to do this. Whatever, I'm leaving. I gotta lower the water. I have a couple minutes. Anything else? Oh. This is a good tiny note about the Bible. I don't know. I guess it's fine. I don't know why I have, like, I've been feeling kind of like, I don't know the word, snarky or something about the Old Testament, like, it's good to have modern interpretations of the Old Testament because it's, like, relevant today, so we should modernize it. But I mentioned last week that how in the Old Testament it's a really big deal to not have idols, and how in modern interpretation it's like, oh, your video games are your idols, or baseball your idol, or president's your idol. And I'm like, that's not really what they were saying in the Old Testament. They were just like, oh, he can get me. How do I kill this thing? I'm leaving. Should I do this one? Yeah. I was just thinking about Spyro again. Do you remember that level of Spyro? Am I crazy? Was there a level of Spyro where you rode on a skateboard? That's too 90s. There's no way. It doesn't make any sense. You just riding on a skateboard? Maybe. But it's okay. Get back on track. So idols is like not that, and the other one I thought of was fearing God. Like, there are a lot of modern interpretations about, oh, what does it mean to fear God? Does that mean to be God-fearing? Because that's something you hear a lot. It's like, it's good to be God-fearing. What does that mean? It's like, oh, like you trust God and you trust His plan. And there are a lot of modern interpretations that aren't like, no. The people in the Old Testament were afraid of God. They were afraid he was going to kill them if they did something wrong. They were afraid he would turn them into a pillar of salt if they praised an idol. That's what they were afraid of. And having modern interpretations is good, but it's not really what they were talking about, I don't think. I'm not a genius for pointing that out, but it just seems like people don't really say that. Like, they were afraid. They were afraid of God. What is the modern interpretation of that? That, like, he's God-fearing, like, he, there's something about it that's, like, you're consistent, or, like, you're unwavering trust in God, something like that. But it's not like you're afraid of him, because, like, we're not supposed to be afraid of God. He's our friend, right, Jesus? But in the Old Testament, they're afraid of God, and they should be. He's scary. He's terrifying. He killed a guy because he, that's because he didn't want to impregnate his wife. And the Lord thought that was wicked, so he freaking killed him. I only have 2 Jickeys. Burp, 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 burp. Okay, I gotta stop. That's it for today. Have a good day. Be good. Be a good person. Don't yell at your dog because he peed on the carpet. I don't know. See you tomorrow.